It is true that indie games have been dominating my playtime more lately because I lost a lot of respect for the big studios, and a lot of times an idea introduced by indie developer might scratch that itch you have when it comes to story combined with game mechanics that create a great gaming experience. But what if a game which is released into its full version from its early access gets a negative response? What if the changes made to the game are not seen as positive? Well, this is why I was interested when I got notification in my messages that Black Skyland has been fully released and people are mad. So I jumped in and well, this is my review after playing through the game, as I have few things to cover. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my smooth voice as I walk you through. Oh my god, what is that? Is that a Zerg? Anyhow, what was I saying? Alright, my smooth voice as I go through the review. I have to mention also that I will be going into heavy spoilers with the game story, so if you want to experience the game on your own, first please do so and come back later and watch at least 10 other of my videos because I need the views. Now it has been really hard for me to not make the whole video into comparison since that is something which I like to do, even though I haven't done it in almost a year, but I will mention from time to time how I will use the early access version versus the full-on release in order to give you an idea so you can form an educated opinion about if the game is worth your hard-earned money or not. Game loop. The game will revolve around you liberating islands in the lands of Aspia from the evil Cain and his falcons who took control of the region and are exploiting it for the resources and are forcing people to harvest the rare material called Swarmlet. You take on role of Ava Arner, who as the newly appointed marshal will travel on her ship with decent arsenal of weapons, which over time you will be able to keep upgrading by collecting the resources by either destroying enemy ships and vessels while moving from island to island, or the other resources like weapon modifications and red steel to upgrade your handheld weapons. Each island will be unique as it's handcrafted by the developers to provide you with unique challenges and even reasons to return when you progress enough with the story, as you will unlock means to access previously inaccessible parts of the island. So if this sounds like an interesting game loop for you where you travel, shoot, collect, craft, upgrade, and repeat, this game will have a lot of it, and as you travel through the region, you will discover more about the evil plans of the Falcons and other criminals in the region, and as the newly appointed marshal, it is your job to bring them to justice. Which brings us to the story, where once again I'm going to mention spoilers are ahead. The story starts by Ava's father traveling to some far-off land where he finds a cave with these strange eggs, and when he takes one, the other one makes him bleed or he pricks his finger on one of the thorns, which starts the hatching process for the swarm and unleashes it on the land. Years later, as Ava is on board of the father ship, which will be your home base, she goes to fetch her brother. And this serves as a tutorial for some of the in-game mechanics, and when she returns, her father takes her away for years on out. When she returns to the father ship, Falcons launch an attack, during which the marshal is critically wounded, and with his dying breath he gives Ava the position of the marshal. From here, it's your role to liberate the people who are going to help you launch the counter-offensive against Cain at his fort. You meet new people like Peter, and then you even meet your grandpa who wanted you to be just a simple farmer. While combating the Falcons, you find out that the local governor is intentionally hiding the fact that the Falcons are terrorizing the region, because this way they can ship out a large amount of Swarmlet, which is a resource that does, well, your guess is as good as mine, as it's mentioned at the end that it's somehow used for fuel. I don't really know, and there's no actual resource like this in this game, so you really cannot comprehend what to use it for. But even after you defeat the Falcons and Kane himself, you find out that the Aspian Ruth, who is a doctor who's been with you since like the start, has been secretly experimenting on a lot of abducted people to find a cure for her son, who was suffering with the swarm fever, which was slowly turning him into a monster. And of course, she infected herself with the virus so she can test the cure, all while finding out that the swarm is all connected to one mind, one being. Okay, seriously, this is StarCraft or even Warhammer 40k, where the Tyranids have one hive mind. This is some next level plagiarism or lack of originality, but sure. So after confronting this Horos, you find out that actually you are not even human, as the egg that your father took all those years back from the cave has hatched, and well, Ava was inside of it. So naturally, after defeating the hive mind, you have to take on its power and become Queen of Blades and take control of the entire swarm and retreat to some far off land to go into hiding. And it's kind of really bad because it's just barely explained how the swarm got on the planet, as apparently years ago an asteroid fell, and that has caused the islands to go all over the place. And apparently even Horus himself is somehow keeping the islands floating. So there's lots of holes in that story. It looks like a Swiss cheese, honestly. So yeah, I'm not really happy with this new direction for the storytelling. And overall, the story is what it is, and in the early access, the story was lacking a proper ending. That wasn't its biggest downfall, however. It did not have none of the governor nonsense. It was just you defeating Kane, and that was it at the end. But it did make a much better introduction and explanation into why which people are important to the story and why they behaved the way that they did, as before there was no fancy cinematics. The story followed Ava's father, Richard Erner, who went to far-off lands in his never-ending search for the historical documents about the split and how the world became the way it is. On his trip, he came across the swarm and captured a creature and took it in and brought it to the fathership, where during a show and tell, the creature attacked, and in the panic, the marshal shot the creature but killed Kane's falcon, and Kane got injured too, which is how he lost his hand. This led to the eventual conflict, and it gave us insight into why Kane would want to punish Aspia. This has been completely removed along with few other fun bits. And yeah, I think they could have easily combined the two into more cohesive story, but the developers have decided to rework the story, and I can see why people would get mad about it, as there are more things that were removed or replaced. Especially because lately we see a lot of lazy writing, either turning a normal human into alien or the multiverse and other BS. Yeah, this is a big downgrade to the overall storytelling. Keeping things simple and stupid usually delivers the best results, but okay. Besides the story, another big change happened with the ship customization. So this is a big one, as a lot of your time in this game you will spend by moving around the world of Aspia, and so your ship will play a key role in how you do this. You will get 4 hulls, each providing a different focus. You want speed, go with the Stingray. You want to be big and bulky and have lots of firepower, go with the Elephant. The world has plenty of fast travel points, so getting around is not a problem. And of course your ship can be upgraded, and here's where another big change has happened, as during the early access you had to find the ship parts, which motivated you to go to these locations or even return back, as exploration played a key role. However, the game lacked the option for you to put the biggest cargo hold, the biggest fuel tank, or the bigger propeller all onto one hull, so you never could have had all the bells and whistles on that one ship you wanted, and you had to mix and match the appropriate parts in order to fit the ship's carry capacity. Now you will have the option to upgrade everything using the blue steel ingots, which is one of the two major in-game currencies, and these upgrades carry over to all the hulls. So you do not have to upgrade each hull individually, you just keep on upgrading, let's say, the fuel tank, and that will carry over to all the hulls once you collect them. I think this is slightly better, and it's because eventually you will have the best ship of each variety as the story progresses, but it removes also the option from you to have some sort of medium variety. So if you truly upgrade the ship to its full potential and you were enjoying some variety of specific components on one of the ship's hull, this is no longer possible for you to return to that customization. So there's a big question about if they should have kept the actual components but allow you to put the best on a specific hull, or if it's better this way, because at the end of the game you're gonna have so much blue steel, you're not gonna know what to do with it anyhow. So this is a 50-50 for me. Is it better? Is it worse? It's up for a discussion. Guns in combat. So this is a big one, as when you will not be shooting your onboard cannons, you will be shooting your assault rifle, shotgun, SMG, rifle, sniper rifle, pistol, and all the other weapons. Most of them will have to be upgraded by the use of the second major in-game currency, which is the red steel. And your shotgun, SMG, sniper rifle, assault rifle, even have modifications which gives you different boosts or negative aspects. So for example, you can get a bigger magazine, but by doing this you have longer reload time, and you will be able to choose in the loadout of your weapon which modifications you want, and this will suit your playstyle, and eventually you will get either the swarm weapons or even weapons from gold coins from chests you find from the wolf pirates. In the late game you will do the raids and collect the specific resources for more weapons. The game has introduced also brand new thing, which are these trinkets, which give you different buffs. However, they are completely forgettable and quite a lot of them fly under the radar. But one thing which I need to mention is the bugs. Now I have to say that during my gameplay I have not experienced many, and I think that by removing a lot of the features from the game, the devs have created a more stable version of the game, which will allow you to have a smooth run on even the biggest potato, as during the early access my biggest problem was experiencing crashes, which would set me back quite a lot in the overall progress. So I'm glad that that has been fixed. I also noticed that the Falcons are no longer trying to reconquest a liberated island, which used to be a big problem, as I did have the unfortunate experience of not being able to stop them. So I had to allow them to capture the island, and then I had to go back and kill all the Falcons all over again to recontest the island, because the enemies kept resetting themselves and it was just impossible to stop them. And the most frequent issue or bug was probably the pathfinding of the enemy large ships which are traveling between the large islands. This remains, as a lot of times you will find these things stuck on the tiniest island, or something will be floating in the air which will just completely freeze the ship, or you will get on board of the ship and it will just suddenly start moving super fast, which will like wash you off the board. It's not really a glitch, but it's not fully polished, so this still needs some work. But overall, the game has received obviously lots of upgrades in order to remove all of the previously mentioned issues, so that for me is a big thumbs up. Verdict. When I look back at one of my rare early access reviews for this game, I noticed that I rated the game at 6 out of 10 and recommended to purchase it only during a sale, and as the game is on Steam, GOG, Epic Store, and other platforms, now that it's fully released, I have to say that my rating is dropping to 5 out of 10. Sure, few new islands, NPCs, and things have been tweaked and reworked, but I see more features removed. Features which worked and made perfect sense to have in the game in the first place, like the father ship having massive holes in the hull from the bombardment and fixing them up. Agriculture and even some weapons and armor have been completely removed. I simply cannot look over the fact that the game is in its limbo after the full release, where some content might be added, but the game will pretty much stay the way it is. But considering what games have been released in 2023, this game will definitely fly under the radar of many people, and so I think my rating will be adjusted, as originally it has been 6 out of 10, but now I'm sitting around 5 out of 10, as I know it has a lot to offer, but it still suffers from one big problem, and that is that I do not see anyone wanting to play through it a second or third time, because you will need to wait until you get access to hand grenades to clear out the debris, or to get the modification boxes to unlock all the weapon mods, or you will need to get to a specific island in order to start interacting with the falcon so you can travel across the nests. And yeah, honestly, the problem is that the game is scripted, so it will be sending you to places, and until you do those missions or quests, you will just not be able to move forward with certain places or ports, because your ship strength or weapon strength will not be strong enough. So yeah, the thing is, this is like a one-time playthrough, and because of it, I would still recommend only buying this game during a Steam sale or any of the other platforms on which you are considering acquiring this game. Other indie titles do have that replay value on the other hand, or players are much more willing to stick with the game because they can try something else or play it differently, but here you will be pretty much set on a path to liberate the islands based on your ship and weapon strength, and you have to follow the story in a specific order. Overall, it's a shame, but it's not that much of a disappointment for me. The team behind the game should be proud of what they have achieved, and I will wish them best of luck with their next title, but how that will turn out, time will only tell. So in the meantime, you can go check out the content on my channel. I know it's a terrible segue, but I do need the views and your feedback in order to keep on improving. And you can tell me all the things I forgot to mention, and we can have a discussion about them in the comment section. And I will see you in the comments or at the next one. Thank you all for watching, and bye bye for now.